Yeah,
All right.
that's the beauty of you,
It's good.
Mr. Paddy Burke.
I am totally different than what you knew of me at
I'm so
Josh's.
curious to see what that life is like. And yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to jump in a show with you. This is one of like I've actually been looking forward to all week.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I hated to have to reschedule this because what you many I mean obviously my guest doesn't know, but like you have made a pretty small but influential impact in my life. Well,
How?
because when we
I
worked,
wasn't there that long.
well, when we worked together, like the way you held yourself, the way you interacted with the people and customers, the way you treated people was something that was really special. And so I'm super excited to dive into you and who you
Okay.
are, and to get to learn a little bit more about kind of like how your journey, how we kind of cross paths and how that
Yeah.
led to go. So, but anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the B&E podcast, the beginning of the never ending. This is the beginning of people and the stories of them, and the essentially the legacy that they leave behind. So we're really excited to jump in the story with Mr. Paddy Burke. And feel free, please, to check out the description to get to know a little bit more about him, and then also feel free to obviously to subscribe and yeah, as we kind of dive into it. This is a live chat, so people are more than willing to ask questions and chime in. We really encourage it. So for those who kind of want to, learn a little bit more about Mr. Burke, feel free to, post in the comments, and yeah, we can dive into all that cool stuff. So anyway, so don't forget, today's election day. Vote for your interests. And yeah, as we dive into the story of you. So I have to ask this, right? So I'm really curious about where it actually started, right? Like, are your ancestors, maybe great grandmother, I don't know if you know too much about them. Are they from native to California? Like, how do you begin?
Oh, golly. I really don't know much about the history of my, excuse me, my ancestors or my family or anything. I haven't dived into it yet. I know my grandparents came to California from the Midwest,
Oh, okay.
and that's pretty much the extent of all I know right now. I do know my ancestors are from Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah,
Get excited.
so that's pretty cool. So I've embraced that.
So is that where the patty comes in, or?
Yeah, it is.
That's so cool.
It is. Paddy is Irish for Patrick.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess the question is, your parents, how did kind of they meet, and how did you kind of come into the picture?
Well, to dispel any rumors, I was born, not hatched. They met in Oregon, and they knew each other 6 weeks, and they got married, and they're off and running. My dad was a cop, and my mom was a dental hygienist back in the day. And my father's law enforcement career took him all the way down the coast, from Oregon all the way down to Yuma, Arizona, and then finally here to Anaheim.
And I imagine, have you been to Oregon? Did they take you back to where they were from, or?
No, my father was born in Glendale.
Oh, excuse
So
me. Okay.
we know that. My mother was born and raised in Modesto.
Oh, they just
And
met in Oregon.
Yeah,
That's such an interesting interaction. Yeah.
yeah. And they grew up during the Depression, of course. My mom grew up on basically a farm, so she was a country girl, and
That's
very
awesome.
humble beginnings. Very humble.
So, do you have a lot of brothers, sisters? Are you like the firstborn, or?
I have one brother, no sisters, and he's gone now. He passed away of COVID last year,
Jeez.
and I'm still upset over that because he was an anti-vaxxer.
It hits home sometimes.
It does.
And tell me about kind of like the childhood experience. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in a coastal town near the Oregon border called Crescent City.
Okay.
My dad was chief of police there when I was born.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he got into a tussle with the city council, and he decided it was time to leave. So that's when we headed down to Yuma. He was the first sergeant the Yuma Police Department ever had.
Whoa.
And because of the corruption and all of that, he basically had to take us out of Yuma, and that's when we settled in Anaheim.
So your father seems like a very for justice, noble type of person.
Oh, absolutely.
He really believed in the cause. Do you feel like that was a big thing you picked up when you were a kid?
That was a major influence on me, is honesty, integrity, of course. He was a disciplinarian, and
kept you and your brother straight.
that's it. I'm sorry?
Kept you and your brother on the straight and narrow.
Well, kept me on the straight and narrow for the most part, but my brother, no, he was a loose cannon. He and my mom did not get along at all.
Yeah.
So he took off for the Army.
Oh.
He wanted to follow my dad's footsteps because he admired my dad so much. And my dad fought in World War II in the Philippines, and he had a whole array of medals from there. And he wanted to go into the military so he could get medals. And my dad said, no, you don't go in the military to get medals. I didn't want them, but that's what happened. My father grew up very poor, so he went into the Army, believe it or not, just so he would have clothes to wear.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about people are not built like they're used to. I imagine that your father's the life experiences hit home, especially,
Yeah,
you know?
it did.
And
Very much.
So, kind of growing up with a kind of father who's kind of been through war, do you feel like I want to say, you said he was a disciplinarian, but do you feel like he held the same high standards for you guys as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He was a disciplinarian, but he was fair.
Okay, that's
Okay.
okay.
I got to make sure of that he didn't just do it because
Yeah.
there was always a reason for it.
It felt necessary.
Yeah.
So, describe yourself as a child. Were you kind of the same as now, or were you super outgoing, kind of shy, composed?
Oh, no way. I was incredibly shy. I couldn't even speak in front of my own class.
Whoa.
I would take an F rather than stand up and read an essay or something like that. I just could not do it.
And what was that? What is that? Was it more of a fear thing, or was it more of just like you know who you are and that's just something you're not?
That's the way I was at the time. I was incredibly shy, incredibly insecure. I was very introverted, and I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. When I joined Boy Scouts, that opened up things for me, but I was still so incredibly insecure. Here's a bombshell for you, Jovonni. When I was 8 years old, I was molested.
Whoa.
Yeah, by a neighbor's
Whoa.
son. And that had such an impact on me, and that's really when I started really withdrawing. And it was really hard. I was bullied a lot. I was teased a lot. Being overweight, they took advantage of that. I didn't have long hair, and I got nailed for that.
Whoa. So it wasn't like you were you didn't really have a safe space, it seems.
No, there was no
Whoa.
such thing as a safe space back then.
So where was the outlet? How do you
Music.
music?
When I got into junior high, I got involved in the choir, and that saved my life pretty much because there were a few times I contemplated suicide because I just couldn't take it, especially in junior high, because not only did I have to tolerate the bullying, the taunting, and everything,
Yeah.
but it was during that period when the Jesus movement started, the born-again Christians and all of this. And the Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa, they were just starting. They had big revivals for the young people, the teens, in a huge revival tent. It was before the church was built. And I was hounded by the born-again Christians. And it was, have you been saved? And what is your birthday? So I tell them, they say, no, when was your rebirth day? I don't have one. And they said, haven't you been saved? Well, yeah. And they say, when? I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I've always had a faith. Even though I am a Catholic, that's my religion. But I follow my faith, which I think is much more important.
Yeah. So choir was a big thing.
So choir was a big thing for me. My mom.
How did you find it? How did you land into that? Was it just you kind of was like, hey, Mom, I want to kind of do this? Do you have friends who were looking into it, or?
I knew a few people, a couple of friends that got involved in the choir, and I figured, oh no, I'll try it too. And
were you a tenor, bass?
I was a bass.
Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it. The bass was coming in. And
it was an escape for me. It really was. My mother, she was undiagnosed with depression. She had a back and neck injury. She was on so many meds that I would come home, I never knew what mood she was in. One day she would be a complete, forgive me, Mom, a complete terror. And I just cringe walking through the door. The next day, she could be happy as a lark, baking cookies and all of this, asking how my day is and all of that. If it was a bad day for her, I just went to my room. I just couldn't deal with it. And I didn't do drugs in that sense, but let's just say I'm the reason that they lock up the airplane model glue. That was one of my other escapes. It was a short one, but while it was there, that was good.
So, Paddy, knowing you now, you have this glee about you. I imagine that kind of singing brings that out of people. I think music has this way of just kind of like, even when someone's in the dark place and despair, you have a sense of just like there's hope,
there's always hope. I'm bipolar with anxiety myself. And I'm on meds. I'm stable. I do have my down days, and I do have my up days, but I'm stable now. I don't have the extreme ups. I don't have the extreme lows, which really you don't want to experience.
Right.
Because when you're low, you're really low. I mean, it's deep pit of despair. It's really bad. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you are so high and hyper and happy and everything else, you drive everybody nuts.
So if you're sitting here like a middle, so you're probably like what 10, right? Around this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, junior high, 10 maybe, 10, 11. This was like 2 years after this whole craziness debacle happened with your neighbor.
Yeah.
And I know this is a different time. What year is this, am I asking?
This was in the mid-late 60s.
Oh, yeah, there is no such thing as no such thing as counseling. It's like you're just on an island.
Nothing. You're on an island. You'd wind up swallowing it. I know a couple of kids that actually did commit suicide because they couldn't handle the depression.
Any close friends at this time you think you can remember? Any people that you can, by name, you met? Yeah, there was this guy who we would hang out, or anyone during this time?
Yeah, there was one guy in particular. His name's Tim, and he and I are still friends after all these years, and he helped me quite a bit. I mean, I never told him what happened with me or anything until we had grown up.
Sure.
But he helped me stay on the straight.
That's awesome. And can you describe Tim at like I don't know how soon you guys met, but
we've known each other since grade school.
Oh wow! So you know each other for a long time.
Yeah.
What is his personality like?
Very outgoing. He loved mechanics, fixing cars and everything. In high school, he and a friend of his would rebuild Volkswagen engines.
Yo.
That's how he got started. And he manages a repair shop now, so I trust him with all my cars. So I wouldn't go to anybody else.
You kind of grow up with these lifelong relationships, but one of the biggest things that like I like to always ask is extended family. Like, do you mother's side, father's side? Do you have any real kind of cousins or aunts or uncles like supportive during this time as well?
Well, I'm in contact and talk to my brother's kids all the time, and I have one uncle remaining. He's in up near Solvang.
Oh, wow.
And I talk to him every once in a while, but that's pretty much it. I don't have much extended family anymore.
It's Mr. Burke and going. This is really interesting. Some of the people I've been interacting with, they tend to have like a big support group, right? Mm-hmm. But for you and your journey, it seems like it's you, maybe one or two other people, but it's kind of like the getting to know you, right?
Yeah.
Were you very self-reflective? Did you kind of I don't know if you kept a journal, or were you the type of person to kind of like be very introspective during this time?
No, I wasn't. I really wasn't. It was just hard enough trying to deal with everyday life during that time. And I just took it one day at a time.
Just moving. How long were you in choir?
All the way up through high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was in choir as well. Just yesterday, we had my choir teacher here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was a big influence on my life as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy again, like music is just it does something to you.
It really does.
Yeah, it really helps.
I used to play guitar and sing and everything else. I don't do it anymore. My hands
can't get the grip.
Yeah. I can't get the grip on the guitar anymore.
Did you become like the savant, or like what? Did you start like serenading, people when you as you got older? Like, how was kind of your high school experience?
No, I just sang. I would sit in my room and I would sing for myself, play guitar. I'd sing for my mom and dad. They loved it, and that was pretty much it. But I loved the choir.
And
things we did, I loved it.
That was the passion, though, during this time, the music of things. Any bands or artists that you would be really into?
Oh my gosh. This sounds corny, but the Carpenters, Three Dog Night.
Yeah.
Deep Purple I loved. Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, this is the good times.
Oh, absolutely.
This is like music at its like really authentic peak here. This is creating new things every day.
Oh yeah, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
How are you getting music during this time? This is these are not cassettes, right? You're talking
We're talking AM radio.
AM radios.
1180 AM KEZY out of Anaheim.
Yeah. I'm so shocked you still remember that. You must be glued to the radio.
You got to remember, the cars back then, all they had were AM radios. If you were really lucky, you had an 8-track player.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Any excursions you would go on? Did you travel at all, or
not much?
It's just Anaheim. Tell me about living there. It seems like a lot of your life was kind of this Anaheim.
It was a slower time. Much slower. And I don't know. It's just kind of normal neighborhood. I lived right down the street from Disneyland's.
Yeah. Did you get to go often, or?
When I got older, I did. Yeah.
I heard a lot of people who live there tend to not really, they don't really go there.
No, not really. Until the annual passes came out, then it seemed like everybody had them.
Everyone was it was time to go. Did you ever, after kind of high school, did you ever go to college, or did you ever, what was kind of like the game plan there?
After high school, I went in the U.S. Air Force.
You joined the Army, the Air Force. So I'm curious, your brother is older or younger, excuse me?
He's older. He was older. Okay. 7 years older.
Okay. And him going to the Army, did that inspire you, or was it more just like you were trying to take your own path? Like, what was the Air Force decision?
It was my own decision. I was trying to find my own path. I wasn't ready for college yet. And so I went in, and it was a good experience.
I see you repping the Air Force hat.
Yeah, well, I'm a disabled vet. I'm 100% disabled. I worked in the supply squadron, and I really messed myself up.
Tell me the experience there. How long were you in?
I was only in for 2 years. They,
Yeah.
because of my injuries, they couldn't discharge me fast enough,
Mm.
and just threw it at me and said, "You have 24 hours to get off base." And I'm going, "Okay, thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'll move on.
But I was stationed in this little place called Minot, North
Yeah.
Dakota.
Yep. I've heard of Minot. I have some friends who went out there.
I'm
There's nothing
sorry.
out there. There's literally
Nothing.
nothing. There's nothing out
You
there.
drive through the state, it is completely flat.
Yeah. It's a whole different.
You can get
yeah.
hypnotized if you're not careful. But in a way, it's beautiful, especially during harvest time when all that wheat and corn and everything is ready to harvest. It's really beautiful.
It's kind of like understanding kind of the nature side of things as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're get your first. It seems like the first real experience of going to a different state. Was that cool? Was that like a
Oh, it was
exciting
great.
venture?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was really exciting. In fact, my first plane flight was going from LA to Texas for basic training.
And tell your personality after choir. You said you were shy and reserved when you were a kid. Is that now? Do you feel like the military took that out? Now you're in a different space, or where you kind of?
It brought me out, but I was still pretty well reserved.
Okay. And I think that comes a lot more from. It seems like your father. He's very to the book, composed, and the type of person.
Yeah.
So
He was a diplomat. He could tell you you're full of, and make it sound like a compliment. He really was.
Yeah.
He was one heck of a guy. He really was.
and so, how was he feeling about you joining the service?
He was all for it. He
Okay.
didn't think anything bad about it.
Okay, good.
And when I got out, I came back home, lived at home, and I couldn't wait to get back to school.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
And what was your sights on? Degree wise, yeah.
Computers.
Computers.
Loved playing with computers.
So,
And this was back in
yeah, this is not modern day
seven-
computers.
78. Yeah, I was still programming using punch cards.
Yo.
Yeah.
So, what did just like junior or sorry, was this like
It was a junior college,
Yeah.
as it was called back then.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, I went to Fullerton JC.
okay,
Got my associate's degree.
and I don't know your relationship with school throughout this time. Have you always kind of been in the books, kind of loving the learning aspect of things, or were you more of like, I just rather just do other things? What was your kind
I
of?
was pretty involved with it. Not so much in high school because of the things that happened to me and the things that were going on, and I didn't realize, but I'm dyslexic, and I did not know that at the time, and I thought there was something really wrong with me.
Couldn't figure out how to stay in the books, but it seems like college is where you kind of really figured that out,
Yeah, it is. Well, actually, in the Air Force is when I figured it out.
because you do have to
And-
test in the Air Force.
Yeah, but college is where I really enjoyed it.
And again, sorry, the study was one more time. Computers, right?
Computer programming.
Programming.
Yeah.
And were you able to kind of use it at this time? Were you able to kind of find?
Oh, absolutely. When I graduated with my AA in business data processing,
Okay.
is what they called it. Went to work for McDonnell Douglas, and I was there for almost 10 years. And then peace broke out, and I was laid off.
So McDonnell Douglas, is that that's a firm, right?
Yeah, that's aerospace.
Okay. So this is like a pretty big deal, I imagine, at this time for you.
For me, yeah.
10 years was a while. I mean, at this, what, you're probably 20, right? When you entered, right?
Around there, 2021.
2021. And yeah, and this is obviously you're a shy and reserved person, working at an aerospace, that
Well,
seems like
I figured computers would be the way to go because I could do my own thing. People would leave me alone and all of this. I mean, you have to be a
I'm trying, Mr. Burke. I'm trying to get you out of your shell.
It's coming.
No, but it's cool. I mean, it's fascinating to see you. Like you're it seems like you kind of know who you are. Like you're not trying to be anyone else. You're just like, hey, look, I'm gonna take it one step at a time.
Exactly.
And just kind of just live. Any passions, still music, or any passions during this time going through work now? You're a working man.
Well, music was still a good major part of my life. More listening than anything else.
Sure.
Because it was my release.
You mentioned that you love gaming. Like I don't know what the modern day computer gaming looks like at that time, but computers, I guess, per se.
Oh, we're talking 8-bit Atari 2600.
I mean, the arcades must have been popping though. Like the arcades was.
8-bit arcades, yeah, doing Pac-Man and
Yeah.
all of those. But they didn't really fulfill me.
So what was it? What was the? It was just kind of just working.
Just working and playing on my computers.
This is so interesting. And so as you're going through journey of work, right? What is your relationships with other people now? Making new friends, or is it just
More like acquaintances. You know, I had work relationships, but no real personal relationships.
there's no you're still kind of like seems like at this time, I don't want to say having a hard time because it doesn't seem like you're seeking for it. It just seems like it's not a priority in terms of like at this moment.
I wanted to go out with
Okay.
dating and everything, but it just wasn't working out.
And is that during the time of this whole these kind of 10 years? Any stories of like cool projects you were able to work on or
Well, there is, but I can't talk about them because they're classified.
Got it. Copy that.
I had a top secret clearance and a lot of things I still can't talk about.
Sure. Makes sense. So you said you left there and
No, they left me.
oh, excuse me. The peacetime came.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing now?
I'm retired now.
Well, I mean, at that
After
After,
that,
yeah. Mhm.
okay, I went to what was then Pactel Cellular, now
Cellular.
AT&T,
Oh, yo.
and I worked in their data center to ensure that all of the billing was going through. And it was a challenging time because I had a manager that was a bully. That was my first exposure to workplace bullying. And this guy was a piece of cake because he would micromanage. He would call in the morning wanting status and everything else. And, you know, I'm the type that the more you lean on me, the more mistakes I make. And then the more mistakes I make, the more he would lean on me. And that lasted for about 3 years, and I finally left.
Yeah, I
I
just
just couldn't take it.
The experience of managers, especially, right? I imagine that's something very different because 10 years working, it's not like you don't know what you're doing. I mean, classified information, and you're working with on top secret clearance, your big projects here. Transitioning into now like private, right? Because this is not.
It was
government.
difficult. It was really
I imagine
difficult.
that's a much different change from what you're normally.
And it was a toxic work environment in itself because everybody was out for themselves. And if they could find a way to make you look bad so they look good, they would do it.
This is.
And I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah, you're in your 30s. Your 20s was looking great.
Yeah. And then the 30s, things got really messed up. It was crazy.
Yeah, I imagine that things have changed. Was it just kind of just floating around trying to find a home at this point, like in terms of work?
Sort of, yeah. Sort of. Once I left Pactel Cellular, thank God, I went to work for Orange County Superior Court.
Oh, that's
and I
cool.
was there for almost 15 years.
You
A
don't
little over 15.
you're not like in modern day things now as people hop from one position over like a year, maybe a few months, then
Yeah.
another position for a year, a few months. Like you stuck it out, 10 years here, 3 years here, 15 years here. Like you really are investing in making sure you be the best worker possible.
Oh, absolutely.
What is that? Imagine working for the courts. You must have seen a lot of different characters.
Oh, it was interesting, let me tell you. There was, who was it? Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Back then. He was on trial. I don't know how many people he killed, but he was at the Orange County court. I sat in the chair that he sat in, and that was a creepy feeling.
Yeah.
Really creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about his the Night Stalker, but that's this is probably in the 80s, 90s, right?
Late 80s, early
Yeah.
90s, if I remember right.
And this is a different time as well, especially in still living in California.
Mm-hmm.
Is the kind of like, I don't know if you're, I don't know what your type of social political views were at this time, going through the 80s into the 90s. Do you feel like you were really involved into the kind of like government side of things now being in the courts, or do you feel like you were still just kind of plugging away, going day by day?
Just plugging away day by day. I had no interest in getting involved in the politics or anything there. Had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
And what was fun about it?
And just the different things that were going on. I wound up becoming a network analyst. So I was running this huge, or helping run this huge large area network, and keeping it running and making sure everybody's happy, making sure all the judges have what they need, and responding to any issues that they may have. So it always kept me hopping. I was always busy, always doing something.
Always have something to do.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes lives are better simple.
Mm-hmm.
More people complicate things and add things to it. It becomes this.
Oh, absolutely. There was a time where I hated people. I didn't want to be around anybody because of the things that happened to me, the backstabbing and everything else in the workplace. It just, no.
Seems like government was definitely the best spot for you.
It was, and then that started going downhill because the manager I had, he was a workplace bully. He was not a manager. He was more a politician. And it was basically our job to make him look good.
So if your job is to make him look good.
Yeah,
geez.
Exactly. And I thought, oh, boy, do I have a winner here.
Yeah.
So I was there over 15 years. I said, I've had it. I'm done.
Yeah.
And it was right near at the what they call the economic downturn.
This was 2000. No, this is .com bubble type of thing. Are you? This is 2000, right?
Around 08, 09.
2008, yeah.
When everything started going downhill, the people were losing their houses, and jobs were hard to find.
And it's just you still during this time.
No, by this time I was married and had a son.
So I'm very curious here. You're obviously, you as an individual tends to be you. One of the things I find fascinating about you, you take the moment, right? You focus on just like the day, right? And you progress, right? In your early years, you had a hard time connecting with others, but it wasn't that lack of trying. It was just, hey, I'm just still going day by day, connecting with people. When did that kind of shift and change? Were you able to find a partner, someone that you can, and was that during the first 10 years when you were working for the aerospace firm, or?
Yeah, it started there, but I would go out. I managed to be able to go out on dates. I opened myself up enough to do that, and nothing was working out, and women were just, to me, they were weird. It's, oh, I have a boyfriend. And then I meet another one. Oh, he abuses me and this and that. Well, you want to go out? No, I'm going to stay with my boyfriend because I know I can change him. Next thing I know, she's in the hospital having been beat up by her boyfriend.
Jeez, dude.
And it was like, are people crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you ask about how my wife and I met. Okay, I'm glad you're sitting down. We were pen pals. She's from the Philippines.
Whoa.
And we managed to start connecting as pen pals. We were writing each other. And next thing I know, we were making phone calls. She did not have a phone at home, but she had a phone at work. So we would call each other once in a while and talk for a few minutes. And I proposed to her over the phone.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Did the pen pal start in the military, or was that just...
No. Oh, no. That was after I had been working for a while. Started when I was still at McDonnell Douglas.
What sparked the interest? Was it just someone told you that, hey, you can do this, or was it just you just gone?
Yeah, I heard about people doing it, so I figured I'll give it a try too. I've got nothing to lose. I mean, I can't find anyone interested or interesting here. I will reserve my true feelings and remarks because I'm liable to upset a lot of people. But
Your spouse, can you describe her?
she is my soulmate. She is my strength. She is everything I wanted and more. We've been married over 36 years now.
Wow.
And our son, he's in his mid-30s now. And they are my reason. They are my world.
36 years.
Yeah.
Like that's not something just to skip over.
No.
People barely 3, if that, you know?
Exactly.
36 years.
And counting. I ain't going anyplace.
Through all this, right? Through employers are being abusive and just being super demeaning, through going through hearing crazy stories and being next to criminals and court systems. You have a kid at this time too, and working on a family, and and she's been there, staying through thick and thin.
She sure has.
And I mean, she from a different world, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, not a different world, but you get kind of where I'm coming from.
Different culture and everything. Yeah.
How long did it take for you guys to finally meet? Was it pretty short? Because I know pen pal can take some time.
About 3 months.
Oh, okay. So that's great.
I sent her a telegram saying, "Please call me immediately," which she did, and I proposed over the phone. I said, "I love you. Thank you. I'm booking my trip to the Philippines." And she said, "You're coming here?" I'm going, "Yeah." So I stayed with her and her family at their house in where they lived in the Philippines, and we had a small civil wedding, and it was nice. And then when she finally came over here, we had a regular church wedding.
How's the family dynamic in the Philippines when you went to a different country? Was it what you kind of expected?
I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. But family is extremely important in the Philippine culture. And once you're married, that's it. My wife tells me that's why she wanted to get married in the Philippines, because they have no divorce laws whatsoever. So she said, "You're stuck with me." I said, "That's fine with me."
Yo, my wife says the same exact thing. She says the same exact thing. That's so cool. So did their family just kind of get along with you? Were they pretty excited as well?
Oh yeah.
That's really cool.
I got along with everybody. It was wonderful.
And how did your family get along with them? Was it I don't know if your parents were allowed. I mean, I don't know how that dynamic worked out, but
well, of course, my wife came over
once
her paperwork was approved to immigrate over, and we were married in April. She came in August.
Yo.
Now, that's a story in itself. She came in on August 31st, 1986. That is the same day that an Air Mexico jetliner crashed in, I believe, Cerritos. Now, I was with my mom. We were on our way to the airport to pick her up when news came out that all they reported was an international flight had crashed. And I'm going, oh my God. And we passed right by it on the freeway.
Wait, you saw the plane?
Saw the fire and the smoke and everything. And
holy cow.
I can't tell you the pit I had in my stomach. I was just so...
And she has no phone. There's no cell phones at this time, right?
No, she was, come to find out, she was still up in the air in
so you were just sitting there waiting.
And I was just sitting there waiting. I'm going,
Jesus.
Oh, I couldn't get to the airport fast enough to find out the status, but it turned out fine. She was a bit on the airsick side from being in a holding pattern all that time.
Sure.
But, yeah, that was kind of some excitement I really didn't need.
Yeah, I bet.
But my parents welcomed her with open arms. There's no problem.
Wow. That's so cool. I mean, this feels like everything had been in your life. It seems like there's always, never had to get it your way.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that was a moment where
this just fell into place. It was like it was meant to be.
Jeez.
And it was just, I still look back on it and wonder, how in the heck did that happen?
Man.
I mean, it was just so easy with everything.
It's almost you so glad you picked up the pen, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, back then there was only letters. There was no email or anything like that. Yeah. So we had to do it the old-fashioned way.
But I feels like, sorry, my last two questions here, and then we can move on. Can you describe the personality of your wife? And I'm sorry, your name.
Her name is Nisa.
Nisa, okay.
And Nisa. Her full name is Maranissa, which people can't pronounce, and they skewer it all the time. So it's just Nisa. Yes. And our son, his name is Sean. He's named after me and my father. And just three of us. Well, no, there's more, but that's another story. No, her parents immigrated over. So they lived with us as well, along with my mother. After my father passed away, she joined us.
Oh, it's a big family now.
It was at the time. Pretty big. Still big.
Yeah. And you said Nisa's personality?
She is very outgoing, very friendly. She doesn't take, excuse the language, she doesn't take shit from anybody. Mm-hmm. She's very strong-willed, very strong woman. That's why I said she is my strength. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where I'd be. I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I know that.
That's for sure. And your son, does he kind of pick up on you or more pick up on your...
He's more like Nisa. Yes, he is very much like her.
But you guys all it felt right, though.
It felt right.
And this is still in Anaheim, am I right?
We're still in Anaheim, yeah.
That's just like, it's almost like a dream come true in a way,
It was.
Yeah.
It is. I feel so blessed. God, I feel like God was watching out for me. He said, "Okay, the time's right. We're going to do this." And I'm going, "Okay."
How can I'm gonna push a little bit, and I have a question here. How could you feel that way when everything in the world feels like it wasn't going your way, but you still say that you feel blessed? And I'm not. I agree, but in a way, I'm curious. That you feel blessed knowing that all these other things that happened to you, the situations that you've been in, but you still come out with like, man, I'm happy.
I look back on it now as learning experience. It was, I had to go through these things to become the person I am today. And yeah, it was hard. It was difficult. I can't tell you how many times I cried at night in my bed. But looking back, it was all for a reason. What it is, I don't know. I don't question. It's just, that's what happened. Let's move on.
Let's go. It's crazy because now your son's around your age, and you were turning 30 when you started working at the court system, and the next 15 years of like the journey for you. Any advice that you would give him being in where he's at now and where you were then?
Oh my gosh. What advice would I give? What I tell him all the time: do what makes you happy. I mean, he's just going through it like gangbusters. I mean, he's a special ed teacher. He has, he's working on, believe it or not, he's working on his second master's degree. He has a master's degree in criminal justice. Yeah. And now he's wrapping up his master's in special education. He absolutely loves it. Doesn't want to do anything else. It's just he comes home so happy and feels fulfilled. Yeah, he has his days. But that's nothing compared to the way he feels and the fulfillment he has. And I'm just so happy.
How raising him, your father was very kind of a dominant individual. You mentioned some of the things that you struggled with, that now you know more about who you are and kind of the diagnosis of it all. Your mother is kind of kind of some days are good, some days are bad.
Yeah.
What qualities did you take from your family and the way you raised him? You have one child; he's the only child, right? So
Yeah.
kind of, I imagine he was kind of a big part at this point.
Yes, he was. And we did everything we could to make sure that he had the childhood that we didn't have. And, well, that I didn't have, I should say. And I just tried to give him the advice that my father imparted on me, and just went from there. I mean, when you're raising a kid, a lot of times you do it by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. Did your father ever get to meet him?
No. Unfortunately.
Man, he would be proud.
Absolutely.
Jeez. Just like, yeah, but did your father at least get to meet your wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they met. And it was, like I said, it was with open arms. In fact, we had cats back at the time, pets. And the one cat that we had, his name's Paddlefoot because he had huge paws. And he was an excellent judge of character. I'd bring a friend home, and he would either like them or not like them. There was one girl I brought home to meet my parents, and he just didn't even look at her. He just flipped his paw and kept walking. And I'm going, okay, what's wrong? And he was a very, very good indicator.
Animals have ways of doing that.
Exactly. Now, when I brought my wife over, by this time I had my own apartment with a friend. And when I came over to their place, she sat down, and my cat immediately jumped up on her lap.
Whoa.
There was no hesitation. I'm going, okay, we got a winner. I did the right thing.
It's just fascinating to see just kind of the story here, the way it's kind of evolving, and now the market hits, right? Your father is here on this time, 2008. I'm not sure when.
No, he passed away in '86.
Oh, so this was okay. This has been a ways, and you're kind of like in this limbo. You have did your immediate family move from the Philippines out here during that time as well? And
no, they were already. Well, let's see. Yeah, they were already with us. So it was kind of rough.
I think this is a lot going on. It's for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
What was the goal now? What's kind of the North Star? Because I think around this time, this is where I started working with you, I think, right?
Yeah, I had lost my job looking for something, anything, and that's when we met. And
during that time, I would have never known.
Yeah.
Every day you came in, you were happy. Every day you never showed any anger towards anyone. Oh shoot, is this me? Shoot, the world's ending. My apologies, everybody. My apologies. You're extremely respectful. You always, helped me. The people the manager there was mean. Like she was like this, like just like, and I was in high school, so
at that point I didn't care. I just ignored her.
Yeah, and
I really did.
But everything, all the time, any questions I had, yeah, look, come over here, let me help you out.
Yeah,
and it was just it was the first time, the first job I've had, and you're the first person I interacted with, and you were so kind, and you were so thoughtful of the customers you had. The way you would take care of the customer when we were working there, and the way you treated people. I've never seen any person. I remember being a kid and interacting with people in customer service and never really cared about me or cared about us or,
Yeah.
But you treated everyone with respect and
yeah, and believe me, there were a few people there that didn't return the respect or anything.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, screw you. After everything I've gone through, you're not important in my life, and I don't care.
And yeah, so. I just wanted to mention that because did you gain that type of mentality as you got older, or was it more okay?
Yeah, my wife was key in that. She brought me out of my shell, and she taught me that you can't make everybody happy because if you try, you'll never be happy. So I just focused on my family. If they're happy, I'm happy, and I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, yo, happy wife, happy life, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well, she's from the Philippines. She was born with a knife in her hand.
yeah. So your world is uneasy, right? You're not really too sure about work. You have a kid, you have a big family at this point.
I was doing anything I can to put food on the table and keep a roof over my head.
You were like grinding. I mean, you were putting in the work. And this is now, in this time, you think you're in your probably late 40s, am I right?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah. So where does, and I guess this is my where does Disneyland come in? Because I know a little bit more about you.
Well, after I had my accident at where we worked, of course, I left. I got a workman's comp settlement. And, I got to say, I only worked there 8 months.
Yeah.
That was the worst 8 months of my life.
Yeah, it was rough there.
I hate retail.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. That's 8 months of my life I will never get back. But again, it was an experience.
Yeah.
You learn from it. Good, bad, and different. You always take away something.
Sure.
And once I left that place, one day our son's friends were at the house, and one of the kids got a job at Disneyland, and he became a jungle cruise skipper. And I'm going, oh, God, that was one of my dream jobs.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And he said, well, why don't you apply? And my wife was there. She looked at me and says, yeah, why don't you apply at Disneyland? You've got nothing to lose. So I figured, what the heck? And he told me what to do and what to watch out for during the process and everything. And, I mean, a lot of people, they try, they fail, they don't get the interview. And at Disneyland, if you're not hired, you have to wait 6 months to try again. Me, I went through so fast, it made my head spin. There was just boom, boom, boom. From the application to the amounts to a psych evaluation.
Sure.
And if you pass that, then you go on to the face-to-face interview, and I was hired on the spot. And I wound up at Tomorrowland Attractions. Yeah.
So this is you're born, not really, you go from on the border of Oregon, right? To Yuma. Yuma out to Anaheim. And you stay in Anaheim. You've been near Disneyland almost your entire life.
Yeah.
And then finally you get the opportunity and the chance to actually work there. And what was that feeling?
Well, at that point, I hated it. I gained a disrespect and a distaste for computers and IT. I have wanted nothing to do with it. I have a master's in IT, and I'm going, screw it. I don't want that. That's not my life anymore. And Disneyland, I just embraced it. And I started with the Utopia.
Oh.
Almost got ran over a few times, And then I got something off of my bucket list. I got to drive the subs.
You got to drive the subs.
I got to drive the submarines, and here I am. I'm more outgoing than I ever had been.
Yeah.
Now, the submarines seat 40 people, and you're locked in. So I've got a confined audience, and I was cracking bad jokes and all of this stuff, and I was just having a good time. I was having a blast.
It's like you get to get paid to be at Disneyland, and
I got paid to have fun.
Yeah, I have fun. Yeah, that experience. Do you feel like it all came full circle here? Do you feel like at this time this was like, music is a big thing for you, right? And obviously you talk about it, and Disneyland is one of the most musical places you can probably go to.
Oh, absolutely. The music was tremendous.
Just going around and just being around the people and interacting with, and again, this was I'm not sure if it was the next place of employment, but from the time I saw you, just how how pleasant you were with your customer service. I imagine that, like, no wonder they would bring you on the spot.
Oh, absolutely.
And the way you start interacting with people, I'm very curious, like, what is it like working there?
It's crazy. It's insane. It's nuts. The people are great.
Yeah.
You work with a lot of kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost 65, and to them, they're kids.
Yeah.
You know, and it was fun working with them. They welcomed me with open arms. There was no backstabbing. It
Sure.
was, how can I help you, and how can I help others? And it was a camaraderie.
Yeah.
It really was. So I was in Tomorrowland Attractions for a year and a half. I almost had a nervous breakdown because I also worked the Fantasyland Theater where they were showing Captain EO at the time. And if I have to listen to that one more time, my urge to kill is going to go off the charts.
You forget that some people have to listen to the same thing over and over for years.
Oh, yeah. And you have to sit in the theater when that's running, when you have guests in there. So you can imagine that I want to claw my face off if I have to listen to this again. And so I had enough of that, and I was looking for something else, and I met up with a VIP tour guide, and I was talking to him one day, and he says, yeah, you ought to come over. I think you'd be a good fit. So I applied over there, and they accepted me, and I was there for 8.5 years in guest relations. Yes, I was a plaid, as they call it. I was one of the evil ones. I have the power.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's being in that role, as they call it, people either love you or they hate you.
Yeah.
And if you hate me, I feed on that, and I will make your life miserable. You know, and not really, but you know what I'm
I
saying.
get it. Absolutely.
And if you know the most of the people, the majority of the people I interacted with in guest relations, absolutely wonderful. I've got a huge box of memories in there. That the other jobs I never had.
Yeah.
And gifts that they've given me and letters and other things, they're all in that box. I've got a pile of awards that high of basically attaboys. When people come in, they want to give a compliment, and then they make up a certificate and give it to you. It's on your record card. So, I mean, I got a ton of those.
It's the appreciation. It feels like for a long time, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you've never really been noticed, right, in a way. Like, you kind of just...
Not like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I made myself available. I made myself open.
Yeah.
And
you go from this shy kid to now, like, you're all this appreciation and all this love and all this, like... and you didn't shy away from it. It seems like you ran straight to it.
I embraced it. I really did. My wife was, Nasa was instrumental in bringing me out of my shell and showing me what I'm capable of, what I can do, how I can really enjoy life and live it more than I ever had before.
Even though she's this kind of like, you know, you said the strength, right?
Yes.
She still taught you the kindness and the kind of the little things and the love of family and life, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. To her,
it's the balance.
Yes, because family is extremely important. When her parents came over, they lived with us, and as they got along in their years, their health started declining. So we made sure that they were comfortable. We took care of them.
And that's you know, a lot of people have reservation bringing, like, oh, I have to bring, but you guys were just like, absolutely, let's do it. Like,
yeah, and my mom came with us. She helped us buy our first house, and she lived with us until she passed away. And then, you know, that's the way we kept going. And I have no regrets of it whatsoever because it's family.
Right.
You help family.
Yeah.
That's something I never had growing up. I had my mom and dad, yeah, but the rest of my family, extended family, no. Everybody was out for
themselves.
They were for themselves.
You retire.
Yes.
And how was that? This is, you know, all the work you put in over the years, you know, the education you got, getting your master's degree, putting all the work in IT and worked with these, you know, pretty big private company contracts, and now you're kind of in a space where you feel like, I would say, I don't know the most fulfilled, but you feel fulfilled. You feel like, man, I feel like appreciated, and Was it hard to part ways? Was it an easy thing? How was that?
Well, going back to Disneyland, believe it or not, out of all the jobs I had, Disneyland was by far the greatest experience I ever had. I had fantastic management. In fact, funny story real quick. I was talking to the senior manager who I became very good friends with. And one day I asked him, who do you work for? I mean, you get your paycheck from Disney, yes, but who do you work for? And he stood there, he thought for a moment, and he says, I work for you. I said, very good. That's right, because I studied management and all of this, and that's very profound. A lot of people can't doesn't get that concept. And I said, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I showed him studies of it and things, and he said, I never knew this. I said, well, it just confirms how you lead. He is a leader. He's not a boss. And he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And that's what made it even better working at the park. So, I mean, Disneyland was, to me, the pinnacle of my working career. And I was there for 10 years.
I almost wish you could be there for longer, huh?
I wish I could, but
it's time to move on, yeah?
The commute was really getting to me.
Sure.
And after the COVID shutdown and everything, so much had changed that it just wasn't the same anymore.
The soul kind of was, yeah.
Yeah, and they're trying to bring it back, but it's been a very rough road. They'll get there, but it's going to take a long time.
Slow roll. Looking back at your life, now you're retired and you're seeing your son doing amazing things. What is what do you think about like where you started to where you are now? How has that experience been for you?
Happy, be honest with you. Through all the experience, good, bad, and indifferent, I feel fulfilled, especially right now.
That's awesome.
And my newest endeavor is painting. I've been painting for a couple of years. I'm self-taught. I have a subscription to a art academy and all of that.
And this is actually your piece, right?
This is one of my pieces, yeah. I made that for you and put up, admire, throw darts at, whatever you want.
Absolutely.
I love abstract art because there's no rules.
Sure.
No rules at all. You just, as one artist put that I follow, he paints to bless, not to impress. And that, you think about it, that's very profound, and that's the way I feel. You either like me or you don't. I don't care. I'm not out to impress anybody. I'm really not. I don't care. If you like the pieces that I do, fine. If you don't, fine. Just keep walking.
You are content and happy who you are.
I'm content and happy with who I am, yes.
You're not trying to be anyone else but you.
Nope. I'm me. Take me or leave me.
That's just something that's actually consistent through your entire life is that, look, you are who you are.
Thinking about it, yeah, it is. I'm me, and I'm not going to change for anybody. I tried changing for people to be my friend. No, don't ever do that.
You had one person.
Ever compromise for someone because you want them to be your friend. If you do that, they're not your friend. Never works.
And so this is where the one person who accepted you for who you are, your wife.
Absolutely.
That was the person you let in, and then she just kind of enriched the soul in a way.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where I'd be.
Mr. Burke, your story is fascinating. For a moment there, sincerely, like for a moment there, I was nervous. I was like, it's almost like I know the ending, but still, like, I was nervous throughout the story. I'm like, geez, hang in there, Mr. Burke, hang in there.
In a lot of ways, I went through hell, but sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm happy, even though I'm disabled. I have back and neck injuries and arthritis and a few other things. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I just keep going.
Mr. Burke, I'm grateful to have heard your story. I'm grateful to have met you, and like I said, for what you have the way you treated me, you didn't manage. We were just, pretty much the same level. And the way you treated me, the way you were just,
I treat people the way I want to be treated.
yeah. And it was just that was a big thing for me, and it made me want to be able to be. I've really gained a lot. I know it's very short amount of time, but sincerely, like I remember going into I started working at like Tivana Starbucks, and I remember like I would think, say, you got to be kind, you got to work with people, you got to be respectful to customers, and I gained a lot of that from you. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
And it's crazy. Right after I did
I'm
that,
honored.
no, sincerely. Right after I did that, I joined the military and I joined the Air Force.
Did you really?
I joined the Air Force.
Oh my gosh.
And
were you stationed at Minot?
no, God, no.
Don't talk to me.
Absolutely not. No. Oh no, I'm good. Yeah, I remember a portion that was you as well. And I didn't want to join the military. My father was in it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. But
why did you? Okay, now I'm going to turn it on you.
No, it was a little bit of you.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't want to end up like my dad is very stern person, and I was very ignorant around that time. I was a young kid, I just didn't. I like poetry, and I liked art and music. I was in the choir. And just hearing you, I talked to you about some of these things, and I would tell you about like where I was, and I was in high school in choir at the time when I was, and the fact that someone can be as kind as you in a way, right, and be in the service, and that made me feel like, okay, then it's what you take from it and from that experience, and so that's what I wanted to. I don't want to say emulate that in a way, but I realized I needed more discipline, and so. And my father was like really stern. Oh, hey, you got to get more discipline. He was 100% correct. And the military really helped shift that mold.
Oh, absolutely. Even in the Air Force, yeah.
It was really helpful. It was extremely helpful. But it's just, my wife is Korean. Like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I didn't have any of the experiences as you as a child. I had a lot. I had I didn't go through anything near that. But just to kind of see going through high school and choir, going and joining the service, being in the military, went to school for computer software engineering. Like,
wow,
isn't that fascinating?
Kind of creepy here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So it's it's just awesome. And I'm grateful for you to be able to share that with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be able to share it.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a few questions for you, but I want to first check. How are we on time, Sarah?
It's 9:25.
Okay, so I have a few questions to ask you.
Okay. Yes. No. Yes.
Do you happen to have? Do you have the cards? I think I left them. Yeah. Do you mind if I? Thank you. Okay. So we have a few questions to ask you.
Oh God.
They're deep questions, right? But the goal is for me just to kind of get a better understanding of kind of the little cool ways to get to know you a little bit more. So, yeah. So here we go. Ready? All right.
Go for it.
So if your life was a movie, right?
Oh God. Not that.
What would the title be?
Oh my God, I really don't know. I have no idea. Probably the book that the title of the book that Bilbo Baggins wrote.
Yo.
From
I don't have it.
There and Back Again or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Because I've been in the deepest of holes and I've been in the highest of highs. And people wonder, well, would you change it? No. Because all of that made me who I am.
You know what's crazy? My next question for you. I said, how would you rate your life and what would you do to improve it?
Oh, I'm always improving myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Okay. But you wouldn't change the past?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, when you stop learning, to me, and this was instilled by both my mom and dad, if you stop learning, you stop living. There's always something new to learn. There's always
Jeez.
something new to do.
Jeez. Yeah. Great parents. Describe the moment you felt the most alive.
When I got married.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Philippines or but when we were to do a church wedding out here?
Both.
It was just
When we got married in the Philippines, it was just the beginning.
hmm.
When we got had our church wedding, it's done. That's it. There's no turning back. There was no turning back at the civil wedding, of course.
Sure.
But this just sealed everything. Going, okay, we're together now.
And what was it that made you feel so alive?
Because I have someone who understands me, someone who lifts me up when I'm down, someone who supports me in things I do. And in turn, I do the same thing. We support each other.
Could you imagine 36 years? Did you even like
No.
just
I'll tell you this much. If I married an American woman, I would have been divorced a long time ago.
Wow.
I know it.
It's just that was the culture for you.
Yeah. It just fit with me.
What's the most important thing you didn't do but should have done?
I honestly can't think of anything.
Maybe work at Disneyland sooner? I'm joking.
You know, I probably would have. But when I real quick, when I got hired at Disneyland, I needed a job. So
Yeah, sure.
that's what I got. I needed it to keep my family going.
Sure.
I didn't expect to be there that long, to be honest with you. But I did. I stuck it out. 10 years, that's it.
Yep.
But yeah, Disneyland was a big influence on me, and still is, especially for my wife.
Ooh. She loves Disneyland?
Oh, she loves it, especially since, I'm even though I'm retired, I can still go to Disneyland without free.
Because, yeah,
stuff,
you
yeah.
put in the time, 10 years hearing the same
Yeah.
song.
Oh, God. And I've got a pass, so my wife doesn't need an annual pass anymore, so I can bring my family in.
That's awesome. We're going to have to, we look like you, maybe. And last two questions.
Yeah.
Name your top 3 pet peeves.
Liars. Fake people. And a third one. There's got to be a third one.
You like thinking back, you're like,
I'm thinking back.
there's a lot of things that made me mad.
There's a lot of things that bug me. I can't think of a third offhand, but liars and
People who are fake.
fake people. There's no room in my life for that. There really isn't. Nobody should have to put up with that.
Someone says that people who lie and people who, are trying to be someone else is because of just like this fear. They just. But you say there's no room for them. Is it just because
No,
you
I
have to
don't
find yourself out before we interact with each other?
Well, once I find out what the person is like,
Mm.
it's very hard to get close to me. Very hard. Because I want to know who you are first. I want to see past the initial impression.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have a lot of friends.
You have friends with like depth.
Yes. I have many acquaintances, but a few real friends. And that's the way I like it.
And my final question for you for
Yes.
today. What's a memory from your childhood you most want to remember?
There's so many of them. I think I would have to say one Christmas when my parents gave me an electric guitar. And that's when I was still in high school. And I just went nuts over it. And my parents were just beaming because I loved it so much. I still have it.
What?
Yeah, I still have it. All this time. I still have it. I take it out every so often and look at it, and I'm going, my God, all the memories I've got in that. Wild, isn't it?
Yeah. We are grateful for you to be on the show with us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
We have. I love the piece that you did.
Thank you.
I one of the things about abstract art is really interesting the way people perceive it, and what's going on. But I like the fact that you're a type of person who, and I mean, I agree with you. The kind of journey of everything, the Bilbo Baggins journey, from the depths of but the tops of heaven. The sense of just getting the experience of it all. And I'm grateful you stuck it through. I'm so grateful to have met you. And
Thank you.
no, sincerely, like you made even the shortest impact. You made a really big impact in my life. The humility you have, just the amount of humbleness you have. And I hope you deserve, as much respect because you, you definitely have put in time, and you definitely have shown that, hey, look, you're not just, you're not just a fake person. You're a person who wants to go and actually spread good things to other people, and you want to see people happy. And you I've never seen you actually, try to belittle anyone. It's really cool. It's really awesome. And I just want to let you know I appreciate that.
Like I said, I treat people the way I want to be treated. And if you can't or won't, then we'll go our separate ways. Yeah, that's simple.
Where can people find you? If I know you do some art, and where can people interact with your work? Or
I'm on Facebook, and actually, I am on Instagram. My wife takes care of that, but you'll have to look for me. I don't remember what it's called.
Hey, we'll put it in the description.
My wife did it for me, so.
Yo, we gotta meet your wife. Thank you guys for joining us today. Is there any other things you want to add? Anything on your mind that you didn't get to express about your store? Or anything at all that you want to?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
That's me.
Get excited then. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please feel free to subscribe and like and comment. We really are interested in what you guys have to say. And